All right, ready to dive deep. Today it's Atomic Habits. You know, the James Clear book.
Yeah, tiny changes, remarkable results, that whole
That
thing.
a whole thing, but we're going deeper.
Beyond the surface level, getting into the good stuff, practical stuff.
Practical stuff, exactly. And speaking of change, Clear's own story is pretty inspiring.
It is, right. Like, think about it. The guy had a brutal
Oh,
injury.
yeah, in college, broken nose, facial
The
fractures.
whole works, and he used, well, tiny habits to rebuild himself.
Not just physically either.
No, mentally, academically. He even became an academic All-American.
Wow, that takes serious willpower.
Willpower, but also, like, really understanding these small changes.
Yeah, that 1% better each day idea.
That Clear talks about, right? Like, if you could improve just 1% every day for a year, think about that.
I'm thinking
You'd end up, like, almost 38 times better by the end.
38 times. Whoa, okay, that's pretty powerful.
It is, and it works the other way, too, right?
Oh, of course, the bad habits snowballing.
Exactly. Those small slip-ups, each day becoming bigger problems. And
Yes, you think.
it's where that plateau of latent potential idea comes in.
But what?
Plateau of latent potential. It's like Clear uses this analogy
I love his analogy.
about ice melting, right?
Oh.
You apply heat, nothing seems to happen.
And then suddenly,
Bam, it melts.
the tipping point.
Yeah, so it's the same with habits. Change can be invisible, and then boom.
So patience is key. Got it. We're playing the long game.
We are building those habits steadily. But one thing that always, I don't know, gets me.
Gets me too. It's this whole goals versus systems thing.
Yeah, like Clear says, focus on your identity and your system.
More than just setting goals.
More than goals. Yeah, why do you think that is?
Well, goals can be tricky, right? I mean, you think about it, winners and losers, they often have the same goal.
That's a good point. Same goal, different outcomes.
So it's not really just the goal itself. It's got to be something more.
It's the system, the process they have to get to that goal, right?
Right. Like if you want to be a writer, don't just say, I'm going to write a book. You got to build a system.
A writing system, I like that. What would that look like?
Oh, like blocking out time each day to write, having a dedicated writing space.
Finding someone to keep you accountable, maybe?
Exactly. Building those habits that actually support the goal. Because the goal itself, it's almost like it's temporary, right?
Temporary, that's a good word for it. And actually, Clear says there are like 3 big problems with just focusing on goals.
Oh, lay it on me. I always fall into the goal trap.
Well, first, think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes reaching a goal can feel like a short-term fix.
Instead of a long-term solution.
Yeah, you hit that goal, yay, but then what?
Yeah, back to square one if you haven't changed anything else.
Exactly. If the system isn't there, it's easy to slip back.
It's like crash dieting for a wedding. You lose the weight for the dress, but then poof.
Poof, right back where you started. So that's one problem with goals.
Makes sense. Okay, what's the second?
They can kind of like, I don't know, delay your happiness.
Delay it. How so?
It's this trap of, I'll be happy when, you know.
I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be happy when I get that promotion.
Exactly. So you hit those milestones, but then it's on to the next one. And you never actually stop to
Enjoy the moment.
enjoy the moment. You're always focused on the future happiness.
So goals are like these fleeting things. Okay, I'm seeing the pitfalls here. What's the third problem?
Goals can make you focus on the outcome, not the journey.
Yeah, and it's all about the journey, right? Cliche, but true.
It is. It's the daily practice, the consistent effort. That's where you grow.
So how do we actually shift our focus from goals to systems? Where do we begin?
Well, this is where those 4 laws of behavior change come in.
Oh, yeah. Clear talks about these. Break them down for me.
It's like a framework, right, for building good habits and breaking bad ones.
Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
That's it. And they really tap into how our brains work, the reward system, and all that.
Okay, let's break it down. Make it obvious. What does that even mean?
So it's about being aware of those cues, the things that trigger our habits.
Like what makes us reach for that cookie or scroll endlessly on social media?
Exactly. And Clear talks about this thing called a habit scorecard.
A scorecard, so we're keeping track.
You write down your daily habits, and you categorize them. Positive, negative, neutral.
It's like shining a light on your autopilot mode.
It is. And
Yeah.
you'd be surprised how much just being aware can help you change.
So just noticing what we do without thinking is a good first step.
It is. That mindless stuff, it's the first step towards changing it.
Okay, but once we've identified those habits, how do we actually make the good ones more obvious and the bad ones, I don't know, less tempting?
Well, environment is key.
Environment. Like feng shui for habits.
Kinda. Remember the example Clear gives about the Japanese train conductors?
Vaguely.
They use this pointing and calling technique. They point at a signal, call out its status,
To reduce errors?
to reduce errors. It forces them to be present, to really see it.
Okay, so how do we apply that to our own lives? Point at the treadmill and yell, exercise is time.
Well, not exactly, but you could use visual cues.
Visual cues, I like it.
Like if you want to drink more water, keep a full water bottle on your desk.
Ah, so you see it and you're more likely to drink it.
Exactly. Or if you want to read more, put a book on your pillow.
So it's like a little reminder staring you in the face.
And for bad habits, it's about reducing temptation.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Pretty much. Want to cut back on social media, delete the apps, log out.
Makes it a little harder to just mindlessly scroll.
Right. Or if you're trying to eat healthier, don't keep junk food in the house.
So it's all about setting up your environment to support you.
It is. Make it easy to do the good stuff, harder to do the bad stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've made it obvious. What's next?
Make it attractive.
Ooh, now we're talking. This sounds fun.
It is. This is where it gets into like the dopamine and the brain stuff.
Or the brain hacks. I'm here for it.
Dopamine, it's that feel-good chemical, right? Released when you experience pleasure or anticipate a reward.
So if we can make our habits feel more rewarding,
We can trick our brains into wanting to do them.
I like where this is going, but how? How do we actually make our habits more, what was the word, attractive?
Well, Clear talks about this study with the Polgar sisters. Remember them?
Refresh my memory.
3 sisters, all raised to be chess prodigies.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. It was like their whole environment was about chess.
It was their dad. He basically engineered their world to make chess irresistible.
Chess books everywhere, pictures of grandmasters on the walls.
So they didn't even have to force themselves to practice. It was just part of their lives.
They were immersed in it, and it became enjoyable. That's pretty cool.
It is. So it wasn't just making chess accessible, it was making it attractive, desirable even.
So how do we apply that to our own habits? Surround ourselves with kale and running shoes.
Well, maybe not exactly, but you can think about how to make those habits more appealing.
Like, pair them with something you already enjoy.
That's habit stacking.
Ah, yes, habit stacking, the classic.
Like you want to meditate, but you struggle to find the time.
Yeah, that's me.
Tack it on to something you already do, like brushing your teeth.
Brush, meditate, done. I can do that.
And then there's reframing. Instead of I have to go to the gym, it's I get to move my body.
Ooh, I like that. It's like choosing to see it as an opportunity.
Exactly. It's a subtle shift, but it can make a big difference.
So we're making it obvious, we're making it attractive. What's next?
Next is making it easy.
Easy peasy.
Peasy, right. Our brains, they love efficiency, the path of least resistance.
Like water flowing downhill.
It's like that, so we want to make good habits effortless,
Remove those obstacles, the friction.
like those Japanese manufacturers, streamlining their processes, eliminating wasted motion.
So we're applying those same ideas to our lives.
Exactly. You want to work out in the morning, lay out your clothes the night before.
So I'm not scrambling, trying to find my socks at 5 a.m.
Right. Or meal prepping on the weekend to make healthy eating easier during the week.
Okay, that makes sense. Remove the barriers.
Yeah.
But what about when it's time to actually start the habit?
That initial push, that's where the 2-minute rule comes in.
The 2-minute rule. I've heard of this.
It's super simple, but effective. Break down a new habit into a version that takes less than 2 minutes.
So instead of a 30-minute workout, it's just putting on my workout clothes.
That's it. Or instead of writing a chapter, it's just writing 1 paragraph.
So you trick your brain into getting started.
Exactly. Make the starting point ridiculously easy.
I like it. Okay, so we've made it obvious, attractive, easy. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
The final law, make it satisfying.
Sounds important.
It is. This plays into how our brains are wired for instant gratification.
We like to feel good now.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to find ways to make those good habits, the ones that pay off later.
Give us some kind of reward in the present.
You got it, even if it's small. A little dopamine hit to reinforce that good behavior.
Okay, I'm listening. How do we do that?
One way is using a habit tracker, that visual satisfaction of checking off a box.
Oh, yeah. I love a good checklist.
Or maybe it's a small treat, a cup of fancy coffee after a productive week.
So it's like rewarding myself for good behavior, like training a dog.
Because I don't like that you're associating the habit with something pleasurable.
Remember that couple we talked about saving for a trip to Europe?
Yeah, they put the money they would have spent eating out into a special account labeled Europe Trip.
So each time they saved, they got a little hit of that vacation anticipation.
Exactly. They linked the habit to a positive feeling.
That's smart. Okay, so we've covered the 4 laws. What's resonating with you so far?
It's amazing how these small things can really change your behavior.
It's like a brain hack.
It is. And you don't have to change everything at once, right?
Start small, one habit at a time.
One habit, Apply the 4 laws and see what happens.
Exactly. That's the beauty of atomic habits, those tiny changes adding up.
And in the next part, we'll get into some even more advanced tactics.
Ooh, can't wait. But for now, I want everyone listening to think, what's one little tweak
You can make to your life, your routine, your environment.
to nudge yourself in the right direction? Just one small thing.
It's all about those small wins, building that momentum. So we've got those 4 laws down, but Clear, he hasn't stopped there.
Oh no, there's more.
There's more. He's got all these like advanced tactics and atomic habits.
Advanced tactics. Okay, I'm ready to level up my habit game.
Level up, exactly. So we've got the basics, but now it's about optimizing.
Optimizing. I like the sound of that. What does that even look like?
Well, one of the things Claire talks about is it's not just doing more of the right things.
It's also about what doing them better.
It's about finding those habits that like really fit you,
Fit me. Like a tailored suit for my habits.
Kinda, yeah. Habits that align with your natural abilities, the stuff you enjoy.
So it's not about forcing myself to do things I hate.
It's not about forcing, no. It's about finding those things that, feel almost effortless.
Ah, those habits that just...
That click. Yeah. Because they resonate with who you are, what you enjoy.
I get it. It's like, if you love to read, making reading a habit is going to be way easier.
Then forcing yourself to, I don't know, run a marathon.
Exactly. It's finding those things that feel natural.
Natural, yeah. And Claire, he talks about this thing called the Goldilocks rule.
The Goldilocks rule? Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So it's like finding the right level of challenge,
The sweet spot.
The sweet spot. Can't be too easy or you'll get bored.
Can't be too hard or you'll get discouraged.
Exactly. Got to be just right to keep you engaged, motivated.
It's like when you're playing a video game, right?
Ooh, yeah, good analogy.
If it's too easy, you're like, meh. But if it's too hard, you just rage quit.
Rage quit, right? The best games keep you on the edge of your abilities.
Always challenging, but not impossible.
And Claire says, think about your habits that way, too.
Find that sweet spot, that perfect challenge level, but how do we actually do that?
Well, this is where habit shaping comes in.
Remember that 2-minute rule we talked about?
Yeah, start small, ridiculously easy.
But once you've got that base, you can start, increasing the difficulty.
Claire uses this analogy of, like, a bonsai tree.
A bonsai tree. Interesting.
You don't start with a full-grown tree, right?
Right.
It's a tiny seed. You nurture it over time.
Pruning, shaping as it grows.
Exactly. It's gradual.
So we start small, those tiny 2-minute habits.
And as we get comfortable, we push ourselves a little further.
Stretch those habit muscles. I like it. So we're starting small. We're finding the right challenge level. What else?
Well, Claire says something interesting about boredom.
Boredom. But I thought we were talking about finding enjoyable habits.
We are, but even enjoyable things can get tedious, especially when you're really trying to improve.
It's like those moments of just grinding it out.
The grind, yeah, those are the moments that separate, the pros from the amateurs.
So it's about pushing through those moments of, I don't know, not feeling it.
The not feeling it, that's where discipline comes in.
Discipline, the not so sexy part of habit building.
It is, but it's crucial. Showing up even when you don't want to.
That's the tough part. So how do we get better at that?
Well, accountability can help.
Having someone to answer to.
Exactly. Like Clear talks about Brian Harris, the entrepreneur.
He wanted to lose weight.
He made a habit contract with his wife and his trainer. Consequences for not following through.
Putting it out there, no backing out.
Makes it more real. And then there's technology.
Technology. That can be good or bad.
It can, but used wisely, it can help you stay on track.
Like those fitness trackers or apps that remind you to drink water.
Or even website blockers.
To keep you off social media.
It's about being intentional, making technology work for you.
Okay, so we're talking about accountability, we're talking about tech, lots of tools here.
Lots of tools. And it's all about finding what works for you.
And remember, it's not about being perfect, right?
Not about perfection. It's about progress.
Progress? Baby steps.
Baby steps. That's it. And like Claire says, even small improvements over time, they lead to big results.
It's the compound effect in action.
Exactly. And in the next part, we'll wrap up with some final thoughts from Atomic Habits.
Some final nuggets of wisdom to leave our listeners with.
And a little something to ponder.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're wrapping up our deep dive on atomic habits today.
Lots of good stuff so far.
We've talked 4 laws, advanced tactics, but there's this one idea from Clear.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about doing the right things, it's about optimizing them.
Optimizing. That's
Yeah.
interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, he says it's easy to get complacent once a habit's routine,
You just go through the motions,
Yeah, like driving a car. At first, you're super focused, every little thing.
but then it becomes automatic.
You're on autopilot, and that's efficient, but maybe not great for, like, growth.
Yeah, you need to stay engaged if you want to master something.
Like athletes always analyzing their form, or musicians always refining their technique.
They're always looking for ways to improve, even when they're already good.
So it's about maintaining that awareness, that drive to get better.
It's like a constant feedback loop, always checking in with yourself.
So how do we actually do that? How do we avoid that autopilot rut?
Reflection, review, take time to step back,
Really evaluate those habits.
see where you can tweak things, make adjustments.
So it's not just repeating the same actions blindly.
It's about being mindful, thinking about what you're doing.
And journaling can help with that, right?
Definitely. Writing down your progress, your wins, your struggles.
It's like a conversation with yourself.
Helps you see what's working, what's not.
And this isn't just for personal habits either.
No, Clear talks about businesses, organizations. They need this too,
This culture of continuous improvement,
where it's okay to experiment, to learn,
to see setbacks as opportunities.
not as failures.
So it's about embracing those mistakes, learning from them.
And then there's the whole idea of identity.
This is a big one.
It's like Clear says, you don't just change your habits, you change your beliefs
Beliefs about yourself.
about yourself. Yeah, so it's not just what you do, it's who you believe you are.
So it's about aligning your actions with your identity. Makes sense.
If you want to be a writer, you got to believe you're a writer.
Not just like write every day, but actually see yourself that way.
Exactly. Your habits, they need to reflect those deep beliefs, then they stick.
So powerful. It's like you're not just changing your behavior, you're changing your self-image.
You're becoming the person you want to be.
This is what it's all about. Those small changes, they add up.
They become part of who you are.
So as we wrap up, any final takeaways for our listeners?
Well, remember, it's not about finding the perfect plan, the perfect time.
It's about taking action,
Starting small, building that momentum,
trusting the process.
believing in yourself.
It's about patience, persistence. It takes time.
Real change doesn't happen overnight.
So don't get discouraged. Keep showing up. Keep practicing.
Keep getting better.
Celebrate those wins.
And remember, it's a journey
A journey of
to
self-discovery.
becoming the best version of yourself.
So one last thought for everyone listening.
What's that?
What one tiny change can you make today?
To become the person you want to be.
Just one small step.
It all starts there.
That's it for our deep dive into atomic habits. Thanks for joining us.
Hope you enjoyed it.
And that you're feeling inspired to start building those atomic habits.
One small change at a time.